Okay, welcome back to the show. I guess we're going to start with bacon, right?
No. What we're going to start with, actually, I always start with just, first of all, these wonderful pecans. I love to just toast these first. And you can toast these either in the oven on like 350, 375. But you know what's really easy? I just like to put this right in a pan, dry. And then what I did is that for just a few minutes, because really toasting nuts really brings out the flavor.
Okay.
And then what I did is that after these were toasted for a little bit, I just added a little bit of olive oil and salt to it. That's basically what I did. And I set those aside. Then what I do is I come over here, and like we talked about earlier, I just cut the top, the bottom, and the sides with a very sharp knife, and then cut these into wedges. That's what she does.
Okay.
Then what I do is I take a little bit of olive oil, and my oven is preheated to 475. Whoops, that's not a little, but there we go. You never can have too much olive oil, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some thyme. And I like to use fresh thyme. Remember, if you're using, I always like to use fresh, but if you're in a pinch and you're not really going to use the herbs very often, you can always get dried. Always use less dried than fresh.
Right.
But one chef always told me, it was Tom Colicchio actually, from Gramercy in New York City, he said you can never overdo it with fresh herbs. He just loves them.
Yeah.
And he says that, always make sure you don't chop them too finely. But basically what I'm going to do is just get all the thyme. And if you don't like thyme, you can use anything you really like. So, I don't like people to always think that, oh my goodness, I don't like thyme, so what else could I use? Well, you can use basically anything, And then what I'm going to do, a little bit of salt. And we talked that I love like a coarse salt, whether I'm using sea salt or kosher salt. But a lot of times, we talked last time that we really love the sea salt.
Yeah, sea salt is very good.
That's right. And a little bit of fresh ground pepper. And that's basically it. And what I'm going to do is, like, I like to use my hands, but your hands or a tong. And basically, we're just going to coat this with the olive oil. And in fact, I'm going to use maybe a little bit more olive oil right on top. And then we're going to roast this for about 20 minutes or so, or till it's about fork tender.
Okay.
So depending on that's right, depending on your oven. But I'd say 15 to 20 minutes where you can really pierce it with a fork. And I made it earlier, so Kevin, if you could be so kind to get that out of the oven, just take your kitchen mitts.
Switch them out.
That'd be great. Thank you. And so what we're going to do now then is that I've gotten some bacon. Normally I use about 3/4 of a pound of bacon, and I just put it in a dry pan. And what Suzanne Goin does is that, what I love to do too, is that my wonderful kitchen shears is what I love to cut things with. So I just go in here, or on a cutting board, but I like to just, if your kitchen shears are sharp, you can really get in here and do it. And just make, you can take a whole, grouping of this, and just a lot of slices in your hand and cut it into just like bite-sized pieces if you like, Always make sure your utensils are sharp, whether your knives or your scissors, things like that. Because if they're not, I don't like anything dull, but my kitchen shears are one of my favorite things in the kitchen. So what I did is that I just take some bacon and use your kitchen shears or, on a cutting board, but I find this actually easier. And I reduced that down, and then I cooked it for maybe, till it starts to brown, what have you. Then I took some shallots right here. If you don't have shallots, you can use any onion.
Okay.
And also, but I like a mild onion to replace the shallots if you don't have shallots. But this really goes back to French cooking. And I just love the way they smell,
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. And then what I did is that I cooked the bacon with the bacon fat, and I added some shallots. So while it's cooking down, when it's about 3/4 of the way done, I added my shallots to it and then just warmed the pan with the shallots. Okay? So then what I'm going to do, that's what this is right here. Also what I did is I basically skimmed off about 3/4 of that fat. Because I watched the weight and all that kind of thing. And I left about 2-3 tablespoons of that really nice bacon fat. We all need a little bit of butter and bacon fat in our diets, right? Just a little bit, in moderation. That's right. So what I did, and then I'm going to warm it up here. And what she does is that she mixes this with this dressing, and all this is basically sherry vinegar. If you don't have sherry vinegar, sometimes I can't find it. Sherry wine vinegar, you can find that at every grocery store. And 2.5 tablespoons of vinegar and about 3 tablespoons of olive oil, but basically half and half. So I don't want to drive people crazy. And while this is warming up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mix this. See, it's all basically cooked there.
Right.
I'm going to take these about 3 tablespoons of sherry vinegar. If you don't have sherry, you can use any vinegar,
Right.
red wine vinegar, what have you, and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And I'm going to mix that to the pan. And then just to warm it up, I'm going to take it off the heat a little bit, and I'm just going to warm it up. Just going to leave this in. I'm just going to turn it up just a tad. And I'm just going to warm up the dressing. And basically, this is the salad. By the way, Suzanne Goin, what she does is that she likes to use, you know, like I was mentioning, like the butternut squash and things like that, the toasted pecans, and on and on. I mean, she's just a wonderful, wonderful chef. And also we're gonna top it with the Manchego cheese, which is a Spanish cheese. If you can't find that, you can use Pecorino Romano, which is also Spanish, or any cheese, Parmesan, any cheese of your liking.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do, this is like warming up. Now she uses arugula in her salad or dandelion leaves.
Right.
Personally, for me, I find a whole salad of that too bitter for me.
Yeah.
So in my cooking classes, sometimes I'll mix half and half arugula or throw in some dandelion, you know, because it makes, if you're having a party, a nice presentation.
Right.
But what I like to do right here, I just went to a grocery store yesterday, got some store-bought washed spinach, baby spinach leaves. Presentation is everything. I find that in my cooking classes, people love that more than anything.
Sure.
This is truly one of their favorite recipes. So now that this, I just want to make this nice and warm. I'm just going to heat this up a little bit here. There we go. Because what she does, she takes these warm ingredients when it's nice and hot and warm. So remember that a little bit of bacon fat, the salad dressing's in here with the shallots, and she takes the pan and she just mixes this in there. I don't know if you could grab that pan for me, just don't burn yourself. And she takes the, I made this enough for the army so the whole crew and everyone can have it here. That's perfect. She takes the warm ingredients. That's why, so it kind of wilts down this wonderful spinach, or arugula or dandelion or anything of your choosing. And then we're gonna take this wonderful, see how like lovely that is?
Yeah.
And then she's gonna take this warm squash, I don't know if you have the, yeah, that'd be great. I don't know if that is very warm, but it should be warm.
Just throw
That's
it right on there?
Perfect, with the thyme and the olive oil. Isn't this wonderful?
Yeah.
Then we're going to, and it makes a wonderful presentation. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna top it
Are we
with,
gonna put it all on?
yeah, all of it, all of it, yeah. We're
I'll
not
do it the
skimpy.
quick way then.
Yeah, I know, all of it, right on, that's right. I made a lot. This was about 1.5 butternut squashes, but basically, you know, because I like a lot, you know. You can use as many or as little as you know, big or little, but I
Right.
like a lot of it, depending on
Sure.
how much you like it. And remember, you can use any kind of squash too, but I prefer the butternut for a lot of reasons. And then I'm going to take my little bit of my pecans here that I've already toasted right on top of the stove and added a little bit of olive oil once I took it off the stove while they're cool,
Right.
with a little bit of salt and pepper. And, you know, obviously it's about 1/3 of a cup, but I like a lot of everything. So, of course, I use way more than 1/3 of a cup. And I'm just going to mix this together. The bacon, I'm going to shut that off. There we go. And I'm just going to stir this and mix this together. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shave it with a little bit of any cheese of your choosing. But I really like I said, she likes the Roncal, which is a little sharper of a Spanish cheese.
Right.
The Manchego, when I do cooking demos, I have a lot of different Manchego recipes in my book, and she just shaves this right on top. But any cheese that you like, and if you don't want have it in your house, you can also use just grated Parmesan, Pecorino Romano, or anything. But this is what is her signature dish at her restaurant, Luc. Actually, Luc means a small little olive in French, since that's what she named it after.
Nice.
But that's the recipe. And how easy and elegant is this? Perfect for
Very nice,
a fall.
very colorful, very
yeah,
pretty.
That's right. Perfect for a fall day. But I've made this all year round. So I'd love you to try it.
Yeah, I'll do
Yeah.
that. I think we
Thank
need
you.
to take a quick break, and then when we come back, I'll try this, and
Thank
we'll start
you.
the next one.
Perfect.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.